This is recording for the FMSP online revision course. In this video we'll be looking at AQA D2 specification question 1 from the January 2010 paper. The question says that we're given a figure 1 showing an activity network and the duration in days of each of the activities for a particular project. On that figure we're to find the earliest start time for each activity and the latest finish time. Having done that, find the float and then look at the critical paths. In part D of the question we're given another table which shows the activities and the number of workers required, and from that we need to find a Gantt chart or a resource histogram to show the number of workers that are needed. Well, taking these one part at a time, this is figure 1 and we're showing here the duration in the middle square of each box, and the earliest start times is the first thing we're asked to find. So the earliest start time is put in the left hand box. So looking at A, we can see that that leads to D and to E, and so let's take D first of all. A goes to there with the duration of 4, and also B goes to that point with a duration of 2. So the largest of those is from A, giving us 4 as the earliest start time for D. Node E comes from A and B, so again the largest of those is 4. Going down to F, we've got that coming from B or C, and C has the largest duration, 5. And likewise for G, only coming from C, so therefore its earliest start time is also 5. Continuing now to the right, then looking at H. H can be reached from D, E or F. So looking at the totals now, we've got from D a total of 7, from E and F totals of both equal to 9. So that gives us the largest value of 9. I we can reach from F or G. And again, looking at the totals, the earliest start time plus the duration gives us 9 from F and 11 from G, so that gives the largest value of 11. Then going forward then to J, from H we've got 9 plus 6 is 15, and from I 11 plus 1 is 12, so a total of 15. That gives then the latest finished time for J of being 15 plus 2, which is 17. So we're now going to be able to work backwards through the table, and this time going from J, subtracting 17 gives us a latest finish time at both H and I of 15. Now again, working towards D, that's coming backwards only from H, so we've therefore got 15 this time minus the 6 in H, giving us a latest finish time at D of 9. That's repeated for E, which can only be reached backwards from H, so that is also 9. If we look at F, however, we can go back from H or I, so we've got 15 minus 6 is 9, 15 minus 1 from I is 14. We want the smallest this time, remember, so that the latest finish time here is 9. And from I coming back to G, there's only the one route, so it's 15 minus the 1 here, which gives us a latest finish time of 14. Again, doing the same sort of procedure, A can be reached from D or E. So from D, 9 minus 3 is 6, and from E, 9 minus 5 is 4, so the smallest of those is 4. Again, for B, comes from D, which is 6, 9 minus 3, from E, 9 minus 5 is 4, and from F 9 minus 4 is 5. So again, the smallest of those from E gives us 4, and for C from F 9 minus 4 is 5, 14 minus 6 is 8, the smallest is 5. Well, for those two parts of the question, there were method marks M1 and A1 for working through the forward path diagram, and likewise M1 and A1 for doing the reverse pass. The question now goes on and asks us to find the critical path. The critical activities are those where the latest finish time minus the duration is equal to the earliest starting time. So if we're looking at those, A is a critical value where we've got 4 minus 4 is equal to 0. But if we look at D, for example, 9 minus 3 is 6, and that's not equal to the earliest start time. So that's non-critical. So the critical ones are A, E, H, and J. If we also look at C, we can see that C is a critical activity, and then from there F 9 minus 4 is equal to 5, and then it also goes from H and J. If we look at the others, they're non-critical, so all of the others have values where the latest finish time minus the duration is not is bigger than the earliest start time, so they all have some float. The critical path then, or the critical paths rather, are A, E, H, J, and C, F, H, J. And the minimum time is the other thing we're asked to look at. The minimum time is given by the latest finish time of J, which is 17, and this was in days. We're also asked to look at the float for activity G, and the float time there is equal to 14 minus 6 minus 5. So that gives a total of 3 days float. Each of these parts of the question achieved a single mark, so the 2 critical paths, the 17 days, and the 3-day float were all awarded 1 mark in the exam. Well, the final part of the question asks us to draw a resource diagram showing the number of workers required on any particular day. And we're asked to do this assuming that each of the activities starts as late as possible. Well, it's usual to put the critical paths at the bottom of these diagrams. So if we take the top of that, A, E, H, and J, we can see that A must start on day 0. It takes 4 days, and the table shows us that it requires 2 workers. So if we draw that one in, 2 workers required for 4 days, and it's probably best to label that as A. Going on then, E must start on day 4, takes 5 days, and E requires 3 workers. So I'm just keeping track in the top table there of which ones we've already done. So E requires 3 workers and goes on for 5 days from there. So that is E. H is also 3 workers, takes 6 days, so goes up to day 15. And finally, J only requires 2 workers and takes 2 days. So that is J. The other critical path then, C and F. So starting with C, that's 5 days and requires 3 workers. So adding that on the top, we'll initially go from number of workers there required 5, but this takes 5 days, so it then will step up on the 5th day in that fashion. So that's C put in there. And F, again, F is taking 4 days and requires 2 workers. So putting that in here, 2 workers for 4 days is simply a nice block, finishing at that point to allow H to follow on. The other activities are non-critical. So let's look at B first of all, and we want to start it as late as possible, remember. So if B takes 2 days and must be finished by day 4, we can start it on day 2, so it would be 2nd day and 3rd day, and it takes in 2 workers. So B can go in from this position here, and that's B. Moving on our table, we've got D next to look at. D can start as late as day 6, so it starts at this position here and takes 2 workers again, so it's 2 workers starting at day 6 and going on for 3 days. G requires 1 worker and can start here at day 8. So day 8, 1 worker, and it's only going on for it's going on for a total of 6 days. So there's 1 day above D there. And then the other 5 days at the bottom here, putting in G in this position. I takes only 1 day, but is 5 workers. So I comes in here. In that position. So that's our resource histogram. Well, there are 5 marks allocated with this. There was a method mark for getting a critical path correct, and then if both of those were done, so that the second one went in, it was A1. And then for activities B, D, G and I, so the non-critical ones, this was marked as a method mark for getting 1 of those, and then answer marks up to getting it completely correct. So 2 extra answer marks. So in total there are 5 marks for that part of the question. Well, that completes this question. You can find other questions at www.furthermaths.org.uk.